Well, hello everyone and welcome to Cast on the Fly. What a morning! I will tell you that I have been working on attempting to start a podcast, and I want to let you know that it's not an easy adventure. It's easy, but it's not easy. If you're broke and you have no money, it's very challenging. So I went on to rss.com and you get one free episode and then they charge you. So we're going to scratch that. See how we're growing and evolving. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just there has to be some sources out there of what I discussed in the podcast of assisting those that have no money. I have absolutely no money. Otherwise, I'd be paying. So there's nothing wrong with someone working and then doing this as a side hustle. However, for those of us who have no money income because we've given all that we could possibly give to the United States of America. And I have to say that working on RSS.com was really easy to maneuver. So I'm going to stay with that. Their cost is $11.99. And that's it. So we're moving on. I'm now using Accost, A-C-O-S-T. Allegedly, they're free. I've been able to get one podcast out. So today already I've made 2 podcasts. And then I found one that I made a long time ago, I think, which I don't know if I really recorded anything because I can't find any sound. What else was going to say? So I don't have a lot. I have a cloudy head right now. So when you create a podcast, you have to have a host site. And it has everything to do with the technicalities of converting it into a podcast, I'm assuming. So for us people who are normal and don't have a techie degree, most of us don't understand why it's on a host site. So someone else will need to explain why that is. No one ever talks like that. Once you find the host site, I used an app called Record. And then I recorded the content on that app. And it seems like you could just copy paste it from the Record app onto your podcast site of Apple iTunes. However, that's not working. Currently, I'm only being hosted on Apple iTunes podcast system. And I actually went onto my Apple iTunes and I found myself. So I am on live. So I am up and running in a podcast form. So that's kind of an empowering experience, right? So you're looking at the good as well as the frustration. When you're hosting, when you're being placed on the host site, you're able to download images easier. It pixelates you to convert you over to the 3000 by 750 easier. Yes, I know it's boring conversation, but if you're into a podcast and you want a podcast, you're going to listen to what I'm telling you from personal experience to tell you that this isn't easy, especially if you don't know what you're doing. So you create your Apple Podcast, which you have to pay $19.99, and I was able to pay that. So I paid the $19.99, and now I was able to download podcasts. So nothing is free. They don't tell you that they tell you it's so easy, but that's because they all have money. If you're poor, it's not easy. So then you go onto your host site and you fill out all the documents. It's like very cookie cutter, follow the directions. And then you convert your recorded info onto the host site where you then post to the podcast. So it's a frustration of figuring it all out. So I used Accost with this last podcast I did. It's claiming free. However, we'll see if it is free for sure. And then you have to, I utilize ChatPTG, and this is important for you to understand that you're evolving your education to advance your audience. So it's fine, whatever you're starting out in creating. So you're gonna, my beginning of all my stuff is a little bit wonky, and that's cool. That's the whole point. I want you to see the wonkiness, that you want to know that it's okay to post wonky stuff, because the wonky stuff is educational. Because we're not living in some fantasy land here, folks. We're learning, and I want to educate you. You're going to get so many judgments, and by you placing the content, as you place the content, you want to understand that that's normal for your early stages of production and your conversation to be kind of like, well, what do I say? Well, what do I say? Well, yeah, you want to start looking around and getting curious. What are you good at? What do you want to teach people? What kind of tips? Not 5 ways. That kind of conversation has been played out, folks. That's actually a manipulation tactic. You want to conversate with people, like I'm conversating with you right now. See, what happens a lot in these podcasts is they're talking as if you're over there. So there's kind of a separation between the audience and you. When it's a community, right? We're creating a community. And this is just something for you to observe. Maybe you do want to continue on with like your separation because you have certain kind of anxiety, or you're being, I don't know, whatever it is. See, right now I'm in my podcast mode. I haven't backed out of podcast. Because podcasting, it seems like it's like so sophisticated. It's not sophisticated. It's like talking. They're giving you all their opinions as if they matter so much. And I'm sorry, but some of you, your opinions are garbage. It's very, very self-loving. See, not a lot of people can have a podcast and talk to themselves. But see, I'm talking to you as an audience because I've been practicing it. Because I've been utilizing video as my conversation. So I want to evolve. I don't care what you do in your podcast, honestly, but my podcast, I want you to feel, I want it to be inclusive. I want you to feel safe in standing up and saying, hey, I have a question. Well, what's your question? What's your question? No, I want to know what your question is, because we're here to help the audience. It's brave of you to stand up and share on a microphone. What's your question? And then we wait for people to raise their hand. So there's always that experience, even in school, where there's a couple ways to look at it. It's like, I hope no one raises their hand because I'm ready to get out of here. But then people are always raising their hand. Then there's the discussion or the thoughts around someone raising their hand and they're actually asking a question, and everyone in the room is like, wow, that's what I wanted to ask. There's no such thing as a dumb question, although I don't agree with that. I do believe there's dumb questions, like the question that consistently gets asked at the seminar sessions where, what do I need to do to go viral? Well, you definitely need to produce more than 1 piece of content a month. I mean, I don't know any other way to explain it to you. You have to actually produce something for me to work off of what you're asking here. It's not about the numbers, although it is about the numbers when you're trying to make money because you can't afford your rent. And so what you need to do is you need to evolve yourself with your content. And how are you going to do that? You're going to produce content. You're going to start getting interested in podcasting. You're going to produce content on your YouTube. You're going to learn how to do thumbnails, because thumbnails makes a difference in how people value your platform, which is really crazy to me. A silly picture that takes 2 seconds for me to make makes my YouTube channel significant. When the real like content, see, people will follow your platform based on your thumbnail. But the real work or the real like value comes on the information that you're giving inside past the thumbnail. So the thumbnail actually can be the advertisement. Now, if you don't enjoy any of this stuff and you hire a team, then you really shouldn't be doing this. See, that's the problem, is people got so tied up in the fact that people were listening to them speak, and then they hired all these people. And now they're just opinion WHORESs. Look at how glamorous. I have a podcast. Lolly, let me hang out with my girlfriends who are wealthy and rich, and we're all going to be on a podcast. But you don't teach anything. You're not even for your audience. You're really out just to look cool. A podcast can be, I've even done a attempt at a recording for a YouTube and done a 1-minute podcast. I've even done podcasts on my TikTok page. But there's something different in clout levels of heaviness when you produce a podcast and put it on iTunes. It's like almost like you made it or something. It's like ridiculous. I give the same value in information on my TikTok platform as I do on my YouTube page, as I do on my Instagram account, as I do on my podcast. It's the same thing. It just like lands on you different or something. And then now I'm up against a new breed of whatever this psychosis thing is. Now, what I like to have is somebody who's tech savvy, and I could say, well, this is what I created. Can you just put it up for me? I mean, working for me would probably be like the easiest thing on the planet, just to let you know. Well, I don't like that. I'd be like so easy. I already have a whole idea of how I would work with my team, meaning they would have their own page associated to my work. Because my expectation of them would be like super easy. It's already been done. I just want you to post it for me. I'm going to send it to you and you're going to post it. Although if you show me how to post it, I'll probably just be able to post it. Just make sure I have water. Everything's on the fly, and then I get these like little bursts of wanting to learn. Meaning I've done a lot of work to learn this. This isn't like I just showed up on the platform and then all of a sudden I'm making podcasts and I'm da 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 da. No, I had to energetically do work, like posting the content, being secret in the Instagram story. I was secret for at least a year. I tried a podcast back then, but I was they're stopping people energetically from producing. It's like never really clear to me how to do a podcast. And they always had fancy microphones and stuff. And I'm like, you don't actually need a microphone. It does, and I do notice that the sound is a little different, but you can work around not being able to afford a microphone. Then all of a sudden you're like strolling all along with your Instagram, and then you get brave, and then you go to TikTok. And then you produce on TikTok. And then you start exploring what it looks like to utilize the accessories of like the filters, of the that's how you get creative. Like what's your message that you're trying to portray? Like your intention is your message. Well, I really want people to get curious. So you find all ways and multidimensional aspects to find how to teach people how to get curious, how to inspire them to be curious. You get creative with it. You get entertaining, you get funny. You know, you show them things. You have an uplifting experience when you're watching their account. Then you make friends somehow. Well, I did get banned off TikTok, LinkedIn, and my old Instagram account. And then at some point I was banned off of Facebook. Of course, my journey was a little different than what your journey will be. I fought for us to feel free to create authentically. I fought for us to create authentically. So you didn't have to have so much fear. Although the fear is always going to be there because people are always going to be judging you. No matter what, if it's positive feedback or negative feedback, the fan base, the fan follower, they don't really honestly generally know you. Although y'all kind of know me because I've kind of given you every aspect, like what ticks me off. And then you learn to battle it. I'm still trying to figure out where the good people are because I've been through so much. And not to victimize myself. So someone who says that they've been through so much, however, they're still producing content and they're still going, that means they're empowered in who they are. Okay, so I would actually, and let me not forget that I've been working on the Truth Social versus Twitter. So periodically I'll go over to Truth Social, which is all politics, and I'll produce something over there to show people over there what's going on as well. However, if I did have a Twitter account, there would be things that I would be participating on Twitter. But it's not like I'm missing out. I don't really feel like I'm missing out on LinkedIn. I don't really particularly care about those people. Well, yeah, you kicked me off of LinkedIn. And yeah, I could actually recreate a new LinkedIn account with a new email since I have a new phone number, but I don't want to. It's principle. You can thank the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times for that because I gave him a dose of the Democratic, calling them out for being a Democrat. We all know the news media right now is trying to create espionage, even now with the news media, by pushing people out of the room so they don't make that woman, John, feel uncomfortable because she doesn't answer any questions. I'm an investigative news reporter, to be honest with you. Yeah, I know. If you say so. Are you looking at facts or are you all about your own opinion? And it's basically how you're hearing things too. It's a complete espionage. Anyway. That's kind of in a nutshell the podcast. I'm going to have to work out some energy here. I want to let you know that I didn't prepare anything for today's conversation. I'm just watching what's going on in energy as I produce content. So we're kind of going through another evolution of advancement in the community. We've missed a lot of pieces of content too with things not recording, but it hasn't really been that much. It hasn't really been that much, and everything comes out as it needs to come out, and some things are just practice. We had a nice rainstorm today, and that's it. That's all I have for you at 20 minutes. We're at our 20-minute mark on our YouTube podcast. Notice that I didn't use the sound. I did a complete new one to advance this in conversation. That's how I work my platforms. It's kind of how I used to work my platforms, where it's like I have you bouncing from one platform to another. It's kind of fun. It keeps things uplifted and different. Meaning I don't post the same content on Instagram as I post on TikTok. you'll see me post something different over there. So it makes you get curious over there. But it literally only takes me like 5 seconds to do it. So I'll probably get off of this and I'm going to show you. I'm going to go over to the Instagram page and I'm going to post something. I want to give a huge shout out to Gary Vaynerchuk. I think you're the best ever. I love you so much. You were so handsome and so cute, and you're doing a really great job. So thanks so much for all your help. Thanks for all your support. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for liking. Thanks for listening. Thanks for following and subscribing. And thanks for not being perverted. So let's have a great rest of our afternoon. If you haven't eaten lunch yet, it's time to eat lunch.